Nothing is wrong with your life. Nothing is broken inside you. You're just living in a world that trained your mind to feel everything at once, until it stopped feeling anything at all. If you've been feeling like nothing really lights you up anymore, like even the things you once enjoyed now feel flat, there's a very real reason for that, and it has nothing to do with something being wrong with you. It has everything to do with what your brain is being trained to expect every single day. We are living in a world of constant stimulation. From the moment you wake up, your brain is hit with notifications, messages, videos, headlines, opinions, music and noise. Before your feet even touch the floor, your nervous system is already overloaded. And when your brain is overstimulated like this for long periods of time, it doesn't get more excited, it gets numb. Your brain is wired to respond to contrast. A little excitement feels amazing because it stands out from calm. But when everything is intense all the time, nothing feels special anymore. Think about it like this. If you eat sugar all day long, fruit stops tasting sweet. The same thing happens with dopamine, the chemical linked to motivation and excitement. When you constantly scroll, binge, swipe, and consume fast rewards, your brain raises the threshold. What used to feel good now feels normal. What used to feel normal now feels boring. And eventually, even big moments feel oddly empty. This is why people say, "I don't know why I feel this way. My life is fine." Of course it is. The problem isn't your life. It's the pace and volume at which you're feeding your brain. Your mind never gets a chance to reset. There's no space for anticipation, no room for curiosity to build. Everything is immediate. Everything is available. And when everything is available, nothing feels valuable. Here's the part most people miss. Excitement isn't something you chase. It's something that emerges when your nervous system is balanced. When your brain is constantly overstimulated, it's stuck in a low-level state of stress. Not panic, just enough tension to keep you restless. And a restless brain cannot feel joy deeply. It can only seek the next distraction. You may notice this shows up as impatience. You start getting bored quickly, you can't focus, you jump from one thing to the next, hoping something will spark a feeling, but it never lasts. That's not a motivation problem, that's a regulation problem. Your brain is tired, even if your body isn't. The way back is not more stimulation, it's less, and yes, at first that feels uncomfortable. When you reduce noise, your brain protests. It wants the hit, it wants the distraction. But that discomfort is actually a sign that sensitivity is returning. It's like your nervous system waking back up. When you slow down, when you stop filling every quiet moment, your brain starts recalibrating. Small things begin to feel meaningful again. Progress feels rewarding. Effort feels satisfying. You don't need life to be louder. You need your mind to be calmer. Excitement doesn't disappear. It waits for you to create space for it to return. Another reason nothing feels exciting anymore is because many people have been taught, quietly, gradually, without realizing it, to chase pleasure instead of meaning. Pleasure is easy to recognize. It feels good right now. It's comfortable, stimulating, and requires very little from you. Meaning is different. Meaning asks something of you. It asks for effort, patience, and commitment. And when a life becomes centered only on what feels good in the moment, excitement doesn't grow. It fades. The mind adapts very quickly to pleasure. What excites you today will bore you tomorrow if there is no depth behind it. This is why constant entertainment leaves you feeling strangely empty. You consume more, but you feel less. You achieve a momentary high, then immediately need another. And when that cycle repeats long enough, the mind begins to feel tired and dissatisfied, even when everything looks fine from the outside. Meaning, on the other hand, works slowly. You don't feel it immediately. You feel it after effort, after struggle, after staying with something even when it's uncomfortable. That's why meaningful things feel heavier at first. Training the body, learning a discipline, improving character, building something that matters. These things don't give instant reward, but they create a deep, steady sense of aliveness that pleasure can never provide. When meaning is missing, excitement becomes fragile. You rely on external sources to feel something: people, experiences, validation, novelty. And the moment those things fade, so does your sense of energy. But when meaning is present, excitement comes from within. It doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be constant. It feels grounded and stable. Many people avoid meaning because it requires responsibility. Responsibility to show up, responsibility to improve, responsibility to face discomfort without escaping. But avoidance comes at a cost. When you avoid responsibility, you also avoid growth. And without growth, life feels stagnant. Stagnation is not peaceful, it is dull. There is also confusion between happiness and excitement. Happiness is calm, it is steady. Excitement is sharp and temporary. When you chase excitement as a permanent state, you will always feel disappointed. The mind was never meant to stay stimulated all the time. It was meant to move between effort and rest, challenge and recovery. Meaning creates that rhythm. Pleasure disrupts it. This is why people who work hard on something meaningful often feel more alive than those who are constantly entertained. Their days may be tiring, but they are not empty. Their effort gives their experiences weight, and weight gives life flavor. If nothing feels exciting anymore, it may be because your life is full but not deep, busy but not intentional, comfortable but not purposeful. This is not a failure, it is a signal. A signal to stop asking, what will make me feel good right now, and start asking, what is worth my effort? When you commit to something meaningful, excitement stops being something you chase and becomes something you earn. There is another reason why excitement slowly disappears, and it is one most people do not want to look at closely. It is the absence of inner stillness. Many minds today are never quiet. Even in moments meant for rest, there is sound, movement, distraction. The body may stop, but the mind keeps running, and a mind that never rests cannot feel depth. It becomes shallow, reactive, and restless. Stillness is not emptiness, it is space. And without space, nothing meaningful can settle. Imagine trying to see your reflection in water that is constantly disturbed. No matter how clear the water is, you will not see yourself until it becomes calm. The same is true for the mind. When thoughts are constantly stirred, emotions cannot be felt fully, and experiences lose their richness. Many people fear stillness because when the noise stops, they are left with themselves. Unresolved thoughts appear. Old emotions surface. Questions arise. So instead of sitting with that discomfort, they reach for distraction. But distraction does not remove discomfort, it only delays it. Over time, this habit trains the mind to avoid silence, and without realizing it, a person loses the ability to feel deeply. Excitement requires sensitivity. Sensitivity requires calm. When the mind is constantly jumping from one stimulus to another, it becomes blunt. It reacts instead of responding. It seeks intensity instead of meaning. And this is why even good moments can feel strangely distant, as if you are present physically but absent internally. Stillness allows you to notice small things again. The feeling of breath, the weight of effort, the satisfaction of completion. These are not dramatic experiences, but they are real, and real experiences stay with you longer than fleeting excitement. Without stillness, life feels fast but empty. With stillness, life feels slower but fuller. There is also discipline in stillness. It takes strength to sit quietly. It takes patience to observe your own thoughts without immediately acting on them. But this discipline sharpens awareness, and awareness is what brings life back into focus. When you are aware, you are no longer rushing through moments, you are inhabiting them. Many believe excitement comes from adding more activities, more goals, more stimulation. In truth, it comes from subtraction, removing unnecessary noise, reducing mental clutter, allowing the nervous system to settle. At first, this feels uncomfortable, even boring. But boredom is not the enemy, it is the doorway. On the other side of boredom is clarity. When the mind becomes still, you begin to notice what actually matters. You feel effort again, you feel progress again, you feel presence. And presence is what makes even ordinary moments feel alive. Without stillness, excitement will always be chased. With stillness, it returns on its own. Another reason life begins to feel dull is the quiet separation from effort and discipline. Many people do not notice when this happens. It does not arrive suddenly. It slowly settles in as comfort increases and resistance decreases. Things become easier, more convenient, more automated. And while comfort has its place, a life built only around comfort slowly loses its sharpness. The human spirit responds to challenge. It awakens when it is asked to stretch, to endure, to improve. When effort disappears, so does the feeling of progress. And without progress, excitement has nothing to attach itself to. You may still be busy, but you are no longer growing. And growth is what makes effort feel meaningful. Discipline is often misunderstood. Many think it is harsh or restrictive. In truth, discipline is simply choosing what matters over what is easy. It is the structure that allows energy to move in a clear direction. Without it, energy becomes scattered. You do many things but nothing deeply. You start, but you do not finish, and unfinished effort creates quiet dissatisfaction. Excitement does not come from comfort. It comes from capability. When you train your body responds. When you train your mind becomes sharper. When you train your character, your actions become aligned. This alignment creates confidence, and confidence brings calm excitement, not loud, not frantic, but steady and grounded. Avoiding effort may feel peaceful at first, but it slowly creates restlessness. The mind senses that it is underused. The body senses that it is under-challenged. And this unspent potential turns into boredom. Boredom is not a lack of options. It is a lack of engagement. Discipline reconnects you to time. You begin to feel days again. You feel the difference between effort and rest. You appreciate recovery because you have earned it. Without effort, rest feels empty. With effort, rest feels nourishing. Many people seek excitement through external changes, new places, new people, new experiences. But if the internal structure is weak, nothing holds. Discipline builds that structure. It creates a foundation strong enough to support experience. Without it, everything passes through you without leaving a mark. Effort also builds trust with yourself. Each time you do what you said you would do, something strengthens inside. This self-trust creates quiet pride, and pride, when rooted in effort, is not arrogance. It is stability. It is knowing that you can rely on yourself when things become difficult. When discipline returns, life regains texture. Mornings have purpose, training has direction, work has meaning, even struggle feels honest. Excitement returns not as chaos, but as progress you can feel in your bones. Without discipline, excitement fades. With discipline, it becomes sustainable. Another reason many people feel disconnected from excitement is because they are living most of their lives on autopilot. Days blend into one another. You wake up, follow routine. Respond to demands, consume information, and go to sleep, often without truly being present for any of it. Life continues, but awareness fades. And without awareness, even meaningful experiences lose their impact. Autopilot is efficient, but it is also numbing. It allows you to function without thinking, but it also removes choice. When you are not choosing, you are not engaging. And when you are not engaging, you are not truly living. You are just moving through time. Excitement cannot exist without engagement. It requires attention, It requires presence. Many people mistake busyness for involvement. They fill their schedules, answer messages, complete tasks, and yet feel strangely disconnected. That is because activity alone does not create meaning. Awareness does. You can be doing many things and still be absent from all of them. When the mind is always elsewhere, thinking about what's next, what's missing, or what went wrong, the present moment is never fully experienced. Living on autopilot often comes from avoidance of discomfort, avoidance of uncertainty, avoidance of responsibility. When you stop questioning your habits, your choices, your direction, life becomes predictable. Predictability feels safe, but it also dulls curiosity. And curiosity is the root of excitement. Awareness brings friction. It forces you to notice when something no longer aligns. It forces you to see where you are wasting energy, where you are drifting, where you are settling. That's see and feel uncomfortable, which is why many people prefer autopilot. But that discomfort is also the beginning of change. When you slow down and observe your actions, you begin to see patterns, how you speak, how you react, how you spend your time. This observation is not judgment, it is clarity, and clarity brings choice. Once you have choice, you regain agency, and agency restores vitality. Excitement returns when you start doing small things deliberately, eating with attention, training with intention, speaking with presence, walking without rushing. These are simple actions, but they reconnect you to yourself. They turn ordinary moments into lived moments. Autopilot disconnects you from effort. Awareness reconnects you to it. When you choose your actions, effort feels purposeful, and purposeful effort feels alive. Life becomes something you participate in, not something that happens to you. You do not need to change everything to wake up. You only need to notice. Notice where you are rushing. Notice where you are numbing. Notice where you are avoiding. Awareness alone begins to restore color. When you step off autopilot, life does not become louder. It becomes real again. The final piece is learning how to feel again, and this happens through simplicity. Not dramatic change, not adding more goals, not chasing a new identity, but returning to what is basic and real. When life becomes too crowded, the senses dull. When the mind is constantly pulled in many directions, it loses its ability to register what is happening right now. Simplicity restores sensitivity. Many people believe they need more stimulation to feel alive, but the opposite is true. The nervous system needs space. When you reduce noise, reduce choices, reduce unnecessary input, the mind begins to settle. And as it settles, perception sharpens. You begin to notice details you were too distracted to feel before. The weight of your breath, the steadiness of your body, the quiet satisfaction of completing a task fully. Simplicity does not mean withdrawal from life. It means removing what does not serve. It means fewer distractions, clearer priorities, and more intentional action. When you simplify your environment, your schedule, and your expectations, you stop leaking energy. That energy returns to you as presence. When life is simple, effort becomes meaningful again. You are not scattered, you are not rushing, you are focused. And focus brings depth. Depth is what allows excitement to be felt, not as chaos, but as engagement. You are no longer seeking intensity, you are experiencing reality. Many people fear simplicity because they associate it with boredom, but boredom is only the surface layer. Beneath boredom is clarity. Beneath clarity is awareness. And beneath awareness is connection. When you allow yourself to sit in simplicity long enough, you reconnect with your inner rhythm. You stop measuring life by how stimulating it is and start feeling it by how real it is. Simplicity also teaches restraint. Not every impulse needs to be followed. Not every thought needs to be acted upon. This restraint strengthens the mind. A strong mind is not constantly pulled outward, it is stable. And stability creates confidence. Confidence creates calm. Calm allows excitement to arise naturally. When your life is simpler, You recover your ability to appreciate progress. Small improvements feel rewarding. Daily effort feels satisfying. Growth becomes visible. And visible growth is energizing. It reminds you that you are moving, not stuck. Relearning how to feel is not about forcing emotion. It is about removing the barriers that block it. Noise, excess, distraction, and hurry are those barriers. When they are removed, feeling returns on its own. This is how excitement comes back, not as a rush, but as a quiet strength you can trust.